Tonight's presentation, Post Office Murals. The image you see right here is the Chilton, Wisconsin Post Office mural. This is the lobby. So I just wanted to go ahead and mention that while I had the opening slide here for you. I have some notes here that I'm going to be referring to that I'll be looking off to just so that we know that. So thanks again, Marianne and the ATA community for inviting me to your monthly meeting. I certainly appreciate, honored to be here. And I've got some exciting information about the post office murals, and I'm hoping that we can all learn something and have some fun along the way. So my experience giving presentations and attending presentations is that the most exciting part is learning about the presenter. So the content is great, and that's always fine. I love attending various presentations, but knowing about the presenter, what got them there, how they got there, who they are, that's mostly the exciting stuff that I seem to find, at least when I attend presentations. So I'm hoping that that's going to follow sort of along that sort of theme tonight. So here's a quick agenda. I'm going to go ahead and talk about who I am, how I got here. Like I said, these are some of the questions I get most often. What is post office fans? What do we do? Why are murals in post offices? The murals that are in the news, if you've seen some of the articles out there, the post office murals, of course, something that I think we're all interested in tonight. And then we're going to look at the Wisconsin murals. So there's 35 locations in Wisconsin that have murals, and I'm going to run through a slideshow presentation of all of those. And as they noted before, if you want to raise your hand and ask a question, we can certainly address those right away. Or if you want to wait till the end of the presentation, I can certainly do a question and answer session. And if we have time, we'll go into what we're working on next. And there's some bonus slides. So I hope that's a quick agenda that we're going to be following tonight. So why post offices? Let's go ahead and get started here. Back in early 2000, I took a road trip to northern Wisconsin for a whitewater rafting trip. And as we were driving, we drove through these little towns that had the little post offices along the way. And just about every single time, it also had the name of the town on the building. So we thought it was a nice souvenir and memento of all the towns that we drove through. So this picture that you're looking at here is my sister and I. This was taken on a trip we took in 2003. I think this was the Peshtigo or the Menominee that we were rafting at the time, but that was our road trip, a picture from that road trip. We took a couple pictures of some other buildings, and those are posted on the website as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and fast forward to 2007. I decided to quit my job and hike the Appalachian Trail. And this is a picture of me on my summit day in Mount Katahdin in Maine, Baxter State Park. Why this is significant? So I know what you're thinking. Why all these traveling pictures? I thought this was about post offices. Why are you telling me about all your trips? It all ties together. So stick with me. It all ties together. And it'll make sense here. But when you're hiking the Appalachian Trail, what you do to resupply is you mail your provisions to yourself, general delivery to the local post office. So when you're hiking, you get off the trail, go to the post office, get your supplies, and then get back on the trail. So that's what I did the whole entire way along the trail. Is I was constantly shipping stuff to myself, general delivery to the local post office. Now, when I got to the Irwin, Tennessee post office, this is the building that I found. Now, this was my first exposure to this sort of building. This is the building that was constructed in 1936. Very beautiful building. It's no longer the post office. It's a former post office. I believe there is a florist or a plant store occupying this building right now. But when I walked into the lobby of this building, I was kind of shocked, and I ran across this mural. Now, mind you, this is a mural inside a post office, inside a building that typically has a New Deal mural inside of it. But this one is actually not a New Deal mural. This one was painted in 1970, in April 1970. So I took a couple of pictures of it. And when I got done with my trip in 2007, I started doing some research, looking at the murals. I came across this picture that I took during this hike. And lo and behold, this is not a New Deal mural, But what I found is that there were other murals in post offices nationwide. So that's what I found. And this is the first mural that I took a picture of. And it consequently is not a New Deal mural. So I found that pretty interesting and something that people are usually interested in, because you'd come across this building and typically you would think that it would have a New Deal mural in it, but it did not. It actually had a regular mural that was painted in 1970. So that sort of traveling and hiking and all this kind of stuff sort of fits together with post office murals. My interest in taking pictures of post offices as a reminder of where I've been, and then also being exposed to this mural that is not a New Deal mural, and then consequently learning and finding out of all the murals that have been installed nationwide. So that's where that comes from. So fast forward to today, 2020. This is me without the beard, the non-hiking David, and this is my author website, my Twitter handle, and the 3 books that I have published right now, and they're all related to post office murals. So this is how you can find me if you want to. What is Post Office Fans? So let's go ahead and talk about this. This is the website that I created in 2011, when I as to keep a way to keep track of all the pictures and all the stories that I came across while I was taking pictures of post offices. So it's not just you come across dedication plaques, you come across artifacts, various things, post office memorabilia that I've found. And I wanted a way to share this with people. So I created this website, Post Office Fans. This is the web address. And Post Office Fans also became the imprint for the books that I published today. So that's how the Post Office Fans sort of fits in here. And I do have a couple other people that send me images, and I post those on the website as well. So that's what Post Office Fans, and that's how it ties into this whole project here. So let's move on, I guess. Why are post office murals there? Why do they exist? Where are they? How did they get created? So on and so forth. So there's a series of programs that were created during President Roosevelt's administration, and I think most of us are familiar with the WPA, and it's confused with post office art because it wasn't actually the WPA that did art. It was the PWAP and the section of fine arts that was actually responsible for the murals in post offices. So there's a bunch of different programs: CCC, FAP, PWAP, TVA, and many more. But the 2 that we're most concerned about in relation to post office murals is the Public Works Art Project and the section of fine arts. Now, while doing all this research, there's 2 things that I found when I was reading through all the documentation and the books and the research and all this stuff. 2 main reasons. And the first one was to employ local artists. This was, of course, during the Depression. And the second was to improve the morale of the nation that was faced with the Great Depression. Now, when murals were initially installed, it was the PWAP that was responsible for installing murals and employing artists. When the United States joined World War II, the focus of the PWAP changed to the section of fine arts, and then the focus turned to improving the morale, installing art into local post offices because the local post offices was the most popular local public place where people gathered. So that's the reason why, the 2 reasons that I found for there being post office murals and artwork in federal buildings as well. And what we also found during the research is that approximately 1% of the appropriated cost of the building was set aside for the embellishment of public buildings. So when you read all this documentation and you read these letters, the correspondence and all this kind of stuff, they refer to it as the embellishment of public buildings. And I sort of use this term murals as all encompassing. The title of the book is Murals, but you also see limestone carvings, you see portrait bust, you see a bunch of different forms of art, different mediums, but most of them are all murals, and that's sort of an all-encompassing sort of term. And so that's why we decided to go ahead with the murals, and that's why the topic of the presentation tonight is murals. As I go through the buildings in Wisconsin, you'll see several different formats, aluminum stamp, limestone carving, so on and so forth. So um, there were two main um, ways that artists got selected. They held local competitions to select an artist. And one of the ones that we may be interested in here is Milwaukee West Alice is one where they held a competition, and Francis Foy was the winner of that one. And we'll see that later on. The other reason or other way that artists were selected is that they were appointed. So when they held these competitions to select an artist, they would have a winner, but then they would also have these other artists that were meritorious of getting mural commissions, and they were assigned smaller buildings. So you have Milwaukee, which is a big building. There's two murals in there, but if they had a smaller building, a smaller community that was allotted funds for a mural, an artist would be assigned that one. There wouldn't necessarily be a competition, but they would get signed a commission for that particular building in another town. So those are the two ways that artists were assigned commissions for buildings in public post offices and public buildings. How we doing? Okay so far? All right, let's go ahead and move along. So there's approximately 1,200 to 1,300 murals nationwide. Now, why is there this spread in number? Well, as I go through the Wisconsin post murals, you'll see not all of them exist anymore. Some have been destroyed, some have been moved, some have been lost. So this is why there's this discrepancy between 1,200 and 1,300 pieces of artwork. And so my job, what I'm trying to figure out is what is an accurate count? What is the exact number of murals out there? So I started this project years ago. I've completed my tour of Wisconsin. I've completed my tour of Tennessee, and I've located or at least got the documentation for the artwork in those two states. And I'll be expanding and going on more adventures and travel trips to find the rest of the artwork nationwide. So the three that you see here, um, the one on the left-hand side, this curved sort of mural, is from the Miami Beach, Florida. It's a big mural and it's an interesting building. It's got this round sort of lobby, the circular lobby. It's a very interesting building in the mural as well. I haven't researched this, but I wanted to show the sample of the different artworks that are out there. And this is a three-panel curved sort of mural in the lobby, which is pretty large too. So it's a very interesting mural itself. The wood carving on the upper right-hand side here, this is from Clyde, Ohio. I forget the artist for this one, but it was here just to show an example that you have a mural, you have wood carving, and the mural on the bottom right-hand corner is a plaster cast. And this is from the Brookfield, Illinois post office. And it's above the postmaster's door. And you can see it's got this great little horse. There's a bullet train sort of behind it, and there's an airplane above it. And you have a ship off to the right-hand side. They're all kind of smushed together, but it's a plaster cast, and it's just another example of the artwork that you can find in post offices. So that's what there is, approximately 12 to um, murals across the nationwide, and I hope to photograph them and see them all. Murals in the news. If you've been following post office murals in the news and the postal service, um, there's been some controversy. There's been some complaints. Um, some of the content of the murals is questionable. People are offended by some of the content. This particular one in Catonsville, Maryland, was covered up by the Postal Service. This was within the last couple of weeks um, that they covered this one up. Somebody apparently had complained. They thought the content was offensive, and this particular mural has some African American slaves depicted in this particular mural. And so the Postal Service covered it up. Whether they're going to remove it or whether they're going to do something else with it, I don't know. And there's a couple other people that I follow that are looking into it. But as of right now, it is covered up. You can't see it. So it's a little disappointing. I've not made it out to this one. So I hope it doesn't get removed. I do want to make a visit out there. I do want to see it, but I'd like to see it in its original location, not in some museum somewhere. Because the artist did sort of customize their murals to the location where they were issued the commission. So It would be a shame to see it removed. I hope it isn't, but it is covered up. So, and there's about 5 to 7 more murals that have been covered up. I don't have the list in front of me, but there is controversy over them, and some of them have been covered up. So they are in the news, they are out there, and that is sort of the way of things today, I guess. Okay, post office mural stamps, something that I think we're all interested in. Hopefully, at least I think we're all interested in. So this year, the Postal Service issued 5 stamps: Anadarko, Piggott, Florence, Deming, and Rockville. And so these are actually post office murals. These are in post offices, and they commemorated them in stamp form. And this is the first known issue that I know of post office mural stamps. Now, none of them are from Wisconsin, so I'm hoping that the Postal Service eventually gets around to Illinois or Wisconsin and decides to commemorate the murals in Wisconsin or Illinois, which is what we're close to. And we'll see those in stamp form. But these are the 5 that you see today: Piggott, Arkansas, Anadarko, Florence, Deming, and Rockville. Now, go ahead and make a mental note of the Piggott, Arkansas one. This is the one with the airplane and the large propeller that you see. This is called Airmail Service. I'm going to show you the Wisconsin version of this one later in the slideshow as we go through them, but it's called Airmail Service, and that's from the Piggott, Arkansas mural. So we'll go ahead and make a mental note of that one. Any questions yet? We doing okay? Move along. All right. So Wisconsin Post Office Murals. So this is a book I published last year, and the cover is Chilton, Wisconsin. The very beginning of the slides we showed the Chilton, Wisconsin lobby that had the mural in it. The book cover has a Chilton mural on it, and the image on the right that you're seeing here is the original black and white photograph taken from the National Archives. When an artist completed a mural, they were required to photograph it, whether in their studio or on the wall after it was installed. The section of fine arts requested that they have it photographed after it was installed to get their final payment. Typically, an artist received 3 payments: an initial payment that they received, and then when the artwork was halfway completed, they would receive a voucher, and then when the final mural or artwork was installed, they would receive the final installment for their commission. But part of the requirement, part of the contract that they had, was to photograph the artwork upon completion. So that's what you're seeing right here on the right-hand side. I have been to the National Archives a couple times, and they have all the documentation for the artwork, the photographs, the correspondence, the artist biographies. All that stuff is in the National Archives in Washington, D.C. And so to write this book, I had to go ahead and not only travel around Wisconsin, take all the pictures, but I also had to go to the National Archives to pull the research, the original for the book. And so that's what you're seeing. Some of that here. And if we have time at the end, I can go ahead and show you some of the bonus slides that I have of some of the documentation that you will find at the National Archives, which I think is quite interesting. So the book cover, I think it's kind of neat to show the book cover and the original image, how it looks, and then at the beginning of the slideshow, as it looks today. Very beautiful work of art, and one of the reasons why I have it on here for the cover. So that's what you're seeing here. Okay, so I'm a visual person. I like to see things, I like to see it. And this is a map. This is the 35 locations of where the artwork is at, the 35 towns. And to see it on a map kind of gives you a visual. Wisconsin's a huge state, so you've got a lot of driving that you do to get to all these places. So that's what you're seeing right here. And this map is in the book. It's in both books, the guidebook, the Faulkner book, and you can see it here. Just gives you a nice visual representation of where things are. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is we're going to go ahead and jump in here. You'll see the list on the left-hand side of 35. We're going to go ahead and just go through all 35 right now. I'm going to go ahead and pause at a couple of them and we can dive deeper into some of the particulars about them. I think some of the research, some of the findings that I uncovered is kind of interesting. So I'm going to kind of go through them all, and then we can kind of give you a taste of what they look like. And then if you have specific questions and you want to stop me right then and there, I guess go ahead and raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature, or wait till the end. However you want to do it, it's fine with me. But there are a few that I'm going to stop and talk a little bit more in depth about. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is Berlin, Wisconsin. He went ahead and he received a $630 commission for this. It's gathering cranberries, and this is above the postmaster's door. I love the color, the yellow, the blue, the red. I think it's great. And if you look at the size of the characters, the people here, think of this in view in your mind. This is above the postmaster's door. It's 5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet above you, 10 feet above you, and you're looking up at it. So having these characters in a larger scale works really well for the particular murals. So this is Berlin, Wisconsin. Black River Falls. This is one of the ones. This is by Frank Buffmeyer. He lumbering Black River Mill. This is one of the particular ones that I was not able to cover a final commission that he received for this one. As you do the research, you'll notice that there's gaps. Sometimes you can find the paperwork on what they received for their commission. Sometimes going through all this paperwork from the National Archives, it's very tedious. And sometimes you luck out with all the information, sometimes you don't. This is one particular one where I don't have the final commission amount that he received for it. Excuse me. But this is the Black River Falls mural by Frank Buffmeyer. Once again, here's Chilton, Wisconsin mural. And you'll notice I cut out the postmaster above the door, the postmaster mantle, I guess you would call it, above the door for the publication of the book and to show the slide as it is. And if you look at the first slide that I have is actually in the lobby, and then you see the postmaster above the door. He received $790 for this particular mural, Charles Thwaites. I think I'm saying it properly. I think it's Thwaites. But this is the Chilton, Wisconsin mural. And people ask, one of the frequently asked questions I get is, why did you pick this particular mural for the cover of the book? And although I really like this mural, the reason I selected it for the cover of the book is not necessarily that it's my overall favorite, but when you're driving around taking pictures of post offices and the experiences that you run into, those are what's memorable. So walking into the Chilton, Wisconsin post office, I asked the clerk at the counter, I said, do you have any more information about this particular mural? And she went ahead and got the postmaster, and he came out and talked to me for several minutes, but he also brought this book. There's apparently somebody wrote a book about the artist, and he's relatively well known in order to write a book specifically about his art. So that particular encounter, that experience of meeting the postmaster, of learning of this book, this artist has his own book about his art. That experience is what sort of motivates me and what's sort of memorable during all of these times that I'm driving around and photographing the murals and stuff, is those encounters and those experiences and learning more about it, meeting the postmaster, meeting the postal clerks, that sort of thing, and talking about the artwork. That's sort of what drives me. That's gold. That's really fun for me. So I guess that's one of the reasons why I have that particular mural on the cover of the book. Not only because he's a well-known artist, but also because of the experience that I had in Chilton and meeting the postmaster. And in hindsight, I never asked for his name. I can't remember the postmaster's name. I'd love to thank him, and eventually I'll get back up to that building. But that's the reason for having the Chilton, Wisconsin post office mural on the cover of the book, is because of this experience and because he is a well-known artist. So moving along, we have Columbus. Arnold, he received $1,000 for this particular mural. And it's pretty large. It's 12 feet by 6 feet, goes down past the door on the postmaster's office. It's pretty large. Next, we have DePeary. I'd like to go ahead and talk about this one for a few minutes. This is by Lester Bentley. When I first learned that DePeary had a mural, I drove out to DePeary. And so I got there, and I couldn't find the building because it's no longer a post office. The original post office building was sold, and its offices now. I think there's a realtor office or an attorney office, I think right now. But I walked in there and I said, "Hey, have you seen this mural? Do you know where it is?" And I don't remember if it was employee there, who it was. I didn't think to record the person's name or thank him or whatever. I did thank him, but I didn't know his name. But he said it was moved to a museum. So then I had to start looking for the museum of where this was located. There's three panels here, and they're located at Mayville Museum in Green Bay. So if you're driving up to DePere, Wisconsin, hoping to find this mural, it's not there. It's in the museum in Green Bay. So that's another thing that I found, another discovery that I made trying to do the research for this book. And it's another reason why I have two books, which you'll see later. So he received $750 for this commission, and this is Lester Bentley. Okay, Edgerton, Vladimir Rusov. This is Edgerton, Wisconsin. He received an $850 commission for this one. I like it because I like all the people in here and sort of sitting down at the table. I think it's rather interesting, and this is called Tobacco Harvest. Edgerton at the time was in its history was well known for tobacco growing, so that's the sort of story behind that one. Corn, Wisconsin, by Tom Roast. This is another interesting mural, 12 feet by 4 feet. Tom Roast received $560 commission for this one. And the story about this one is that the postmaster rode on horseback from Racine to Elkhorn, and he carried the mail in his hat, is supposedly the story for this one. Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. As I said before, I use the term mural as an all-encompassing term. Fond du Lac has limestone reliefs. These are on the exterior of the building, and there's 11 of these. I only show 2 of them here, and these are by Boris Gilbertson. He received $3,300 for the 11 spandrels that are on the building. This building is no longer a post office. It's privately owned, but the title of the artwork is Birds and Animals of the Northwest, and there's 11 of these on the exterior of the building. Hartford is next. This is Ethel Spears. She received a $720 commission for this one. It was installed in April 1940. The Hartford post office, again, the building was sold. There's a local business in the original building now. It's no longer a post office. And this particular mural was moved to the local community center, the Shear Art Center in Hartford. It is on display. It's in the lobby of the art center, but it's no longer in the post office. So it's been removed from its original location, but it is still viewable in the Shear Center. And she received $720 for this commission. Ethel Spears. Moving on to Hayward, Wisconsin. For all of you fishermen out there, this is a great one. You got some fishermen fish at the bottom down there. This is Stella Harlos. She painted this one. She received a $750 for this commission. It's 9 feet by 4 feet. And you'll notice on the left-hand corner of the screen, the retail, it's in the lobby of the post office. It's above the postmaster's door, but the retail counter lobby is directly to the left, and you'll see the post office installed a rolling door to cover the retail counter. And that's what you're seeing in the right-hand corner there is the hardware for the rolling door that covers the retail section of that. So that's what you're seeing there. And that's Hayward, Wisconsin. Hudson, let's go ahead and talk about this one for a little bit. Ruth Gurtenrath, she painted this one. She received a $750 commission for this one. And when I was researching the post offices and I was looking at them, and I found out that Hudson had a post office mural, I drove up to Hudson and looking at the mural. And when I got there, I couldn't find it. What I did find is that the building had been sold and it had been turned into a restaurant. So Hudson Post Office mural, the old post office, is now the Postmark Grill. and they have good food, by the way. I did eat there. So they do have good food, but it is a restaurant now. And this mural is not in Hudson. And what I did is I had to come back after I found out that it wasn't there, did some more research, and found out that this particular mural is in a museum in West Bend. So the Museum of Wisconsin Artists, MOA, now has this mural. And I don't know if it's on display, but at the time that I did my research, it was not on display. I had to make two separate trips to West Bend in order to view this. I had to find out that it was there, and sure enough, the first time that I visited, it was there. But the person responsible for it was not available, so I wasn't able to see it because it was in storage. So what I had to do was make an appointment, drive back up there again to view it again and photograph it because it was in storage. I hope that they display it at some point, but I did photograph it, and it is included in the book. It's a great mural. A lot of communication back and forth, letters back and forth for this one in the file for Hudson. So that's a little bit of information on that one. Doing okay. We're moving on to Janesville, Wisconsin. This was also by Boris Gilbertson, the same artist that did the limestone reliefs on the Fond du Lac building. These are aluminum stamped. I only show one here. There's four of these. They're brushed aluminum, and they're stamped, and they're framed. They're not in their original location. The old post office building is no longer the post building. At the time that I was up there, it was the Arrowhead Library System. I'm not sure what it is now, but these were moved from that old building into the newer post office on Milton Street, and they are in the retail section of the lobby. So most of the artwork is in the lobby, and you can see it. Sometimes they leave the lobby open so you can get to the post office boxes. But these particular four panels are in the retail section, and the retail section is only open during retail hours. So if you're going to go visit this one, it's helpful to know that the retail section is closed, and you need to visit it during business hours if you want to see these four aluminum panels. He received $2,350 for the commission on the four aluminum panels. Boris Gilbertson. Kokona, this is a Vladimir Musov, another one by him. And you'll notice the same sort of style as the Edgar Hin mural. This is the low. It's a smaller one. It's 6 feet by 4 feet, um, but it's a really great little mural. But it's a $350 commission, and that's Kokona. This is also no longer in the original building. This one was also removed from the old building. It was sold, and it is now in the newer post office. It is viewable. It is in the lobby, but it's not in its original location. And so doing the research and the homework, you have to figure all that stuff out. So that is not in the original location. So, moving on, Kawani, Paul Faulkner, and he received a $750 commission for this one. It's still in its original location. It was installed in November of 1939. Winter sports. Uh, great, great mural, nice size. So that's that one. Okay, let's look at Ladysmith. This is another one. And another reason why I take such an interest is this particular mural. Elsa Jennings, she received a $550 commission for this particular mural. And it is presumed to have been painted over. Now, this is a fresco. So this was painted directly into the plaster on the wall above the postmaster's door. And apparently the postmaster at the time didn't care for the artwork, didn't like it. And so when the post office remodeled the lobby, they painted over it. So it has been presumed destroyed. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to be recovered, but this is a black and white photograph. The completion photo, as I mentioned before, when they were finished, the artist was required to send a black and white photograph of the mural installed. And this is what you're seeing right here. But if you were to go up to Ladysmith right now, it's a blank wall. You wouldn't see this mural. So whether this can be and restored, I don't know. I'm hoping that it can be, but that is the story behind that one, is that the postmaster did not like it and had it painted over. Um, And so this is where we have the discrepancy of how many murals are out there. Well, this is one of the ones that we may have lost and may not be able to recover. So that's why you have 1,200 to 1,300 murals that are out there today. Um, I said she received $550 commission for this one, I hope. So that's the story on that one, the Lady Smith um, mural. Lake Geneva. This is also another fun one. Okay, the artist, George Dietrich, received a $900 commission for this one in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And typically, what the section of fine arts did is they sent a letter to the artist asking if he was available for a mural commission. And the artist would respond yes or no. And most of them were available for commission. Now, George, upon getting this letter from the section of fine arts, took it upon himself to go ahead and visit the Lake Geneva post office and called on the postmaster in Lake Geneva saying that he'd won a commission for the mural. The section of fine arts did not have enough time to contact the postmaster to notify them that there was a mural going to be installed in their lobby. So the postmaster was taken aback by this, didn't like it, didn't think that they needed it, thought that the building looked beautiful enough, didn't want it, um, and sent several letters to the section of fine arts protesting the installation of this mural. Um, the artist, George, told the postmaster that he was going to receive commission, and he subsequently thought that that was a lot of money for it, and they'd rather do something else with the money. Um, but that didn't sit well with the section of fine arts, and so they went ahead and they did install it. But it's funny because the president of the Chamber of Commerce actually sent a letter to the section of fine arts protesting the installation of this mural. Now, luckily, the section of fine arts, looked past all that stuff and objected to their protest, and the artist was able to finish this mural and install it. So I'd hate to think that if that actually went through, that we wouldn't see this mural today, but it is there. I did photograph it. It does look great. It is in the retail section of the lobby, and the particular Lake Geneva post office does have glass windows separating the post office boxes from the retail counter. So if you're going to go out and visit this one, it's good to know the best time to do it is when the retail section is open during business hours to actually see this mural in person. Otherwise, you're looking through it through the window of the glass. And that's what I had to do the first time. I've made multiple trips to Lake Geneva to actually photograph this one and see it unobstructed. So that's a good story right there. Lancaster, Wisconsin, Tom Roast, he received a $900 commission as well for this one, 14 feet by 5 feet. Um, I think it's kind of neat to see the different characters on this one. Once again, we have the cutout for the postmaster's door at the bottom. And moving along, we have Mayville. This is by Peter Rotier. This is Wisconsin rural scene, 12 foot by 7 foot. And Peter Rotier received $800 for this commission. So this is a nice little mural here in Mayville. And moving on, West Allis, Milwaukee. This is the one that I mentioned earlier. There was an actual competition for the artist that the section of fine arts ran to select an artist for Milwaukee. It is a larger building. There are actually two murals. There's one on either side of the lobby when you go into this building. Wisconsin wildflowers. You have spring and Wisconsin wildflowers, autumn. Francis Foy ultimately won the commission for this one, and did a very nice job on the two of these murals. This is the first one, and this is the second one. So there's two murals by Francis Foy in Milwaukee that you're seeing here. And she received $1,800 commission for the combined two murals in Milwaukee. So that's what you're seeing there. Moving on to Nielsville. This is John Vandercourt. I think I'm saying it right. Choosing the county seat. He received a $700 commission for this one. I love the colors, the yellow, the blue, the red. It really kind of sticks out, and it really looks great on the wall. It's very interesting color combination for this one. And it's an egg tempera, which is a different sort of median method, apparently. I'm not an artist, I'm not a painter, so I don't know the technicalities of egg tempera, but I do appreciate the color of this particular mural. And he received $700 commission for this one. Moving along, Oconomowoc, Edward Morton, he received a $710 commission for this particular mural. And I like this mural because it's one mural. I don't have a cutout of the postmaster's door on the bottom. I like that it's just one panel. It's got this sort of orange tint to it. I think it looks great. This is a 14-foot, 5-foot. It is in the original building. It is in the original location, and it's in the lobby. Park Falls. James Waltress received a $1,600 commission for this one. And you'll notice on the bottom of this one, I sort of cut it off right below the clock. If you go immediately to the right, you'll look. So I have this as 15 foot by 11 foot. The 11 feet goes down the right side of the postmaster's door. I cut it off so you could see the slide would fit better, the image would fit better on this thing. But if you look in the book or if you look on my website, you'll see the rest of the mural there. But this is a lumberjack fight on the Flambeau River. And legend has it that there was two lumbering companies that would float their logs down the river, and they would oftentimes get in fights. So that's apparently what the story is behind this particular mural. I think it's rather amusing, but I think it's active. I love the sort of action in it. I think it's pretty neat in that it's a really large mural. So that's kind of neat as well. And it is still in the original location. And the building for this one is really kind of interesting too, if you get to take a look at that one. Plymouth, Wisconsin. This is the second mural by Charles. So the cover of the book, you have the Threshing Barley by Charles, and this is the second mural in Wisconsin that he did for Plymouth. And this is Making Cheese. And I really, really wanted to do this one for the cover of Wisconsin, the Wisconsin book, because I thought that making cheese was really typical Wisconsin. I thought that would be great, but Threshing Barley, because of the experience of visiting Chilton and everything, is the reason why I selected that one over this one. So that is the Plymouth mural. So here's another example of a plaster cast. That's not a mural. This is plaster of the northern waters of the beach, Jefferson Greer. He received a $610 commission. And it's a rather smaller one. It's 4 foot by 4 foot, but it's a good example of a plaster cast of a different sort of median that you would see in a post office. And you can see his signature down in the right corner of the piece by the paddle, which is kind of neat to see that. Reedsburg, a $750 commission. This is Richard Jansen, 12 foot by 5 foot. And I love the colors on this one, the red, the black, the white. And I love that I didn't have to cut out the top of the postmaster's door in this one. So I think that one solid panel makes it look really great. So that's Richard Jansen. Moving on to Rice Lake, we have Forest Flower. And yes, it is Forest Flower. I have the signature and I have the documentation and letters of his signature, Forest Flower. And this is delivery. He received a $660 commission for this one. And we're going to see another one by him here in a little bit. But this is a great looking mural. And I love the mailbox on this particular one. Really sticks out to me for this particular one. So that's Rice Lake. Richland Center, Decorative Interpretation of Unification of America Through the Post. A really long name, really long title. So that's really interesting. He received $550 for this commission, and his name is Ricard Brooks. And there was one instance where I think somebody had addressed him Richard Brooks, and I seem to remember there being a letter where he was sort of correcting the person where it's not Richard, it's Ricard Brooks. So I thought that was kind of amusing when I did the research for this one. But the colors are great. The background, the blue, the pink. I think this one really stands out, and it does stand out in the lobby when you actually see it in person. So that's Richland Center. Shawano, this is a difficult one. to photograph. You'll notice I had to cut out the postmaster door on this one, but it also has this light that hangs down right in the middle of the mural. So you're shooting up to take a picture of this one. So if I would left the light here, it would really look overpowering. So I had to kind of black that out. But this is the mural. Eugene Higgins, he received $800 commission for this one. And I have pictures of just the left side, just the right side, because of this overpowering light that hangs down in the middle. So that's Shawano, Eugene Higgins. Sheboygan, um, check in my notes here real quick, make sure I don't forget any information here for you guys. If you're looking to drive to one place and you want to see art, Sheboygan is the place to go. There's 5 murals in Sheboygan. Now, the one that I show right here is called Indian Life. There's 4 more. I don't have the other 4. I just have this one Indian Life here that I show. But you have the Lake, the Pioneer, Present City, and Agriculture. So you have 4 more murals in Sheboygan that you can see, and they're all in the mural. The Sheboygan Post Office is very large; it's very big. Um, but this is one example of Shomer Lichtner's work, and he does an amazing job on the other murals as well. If you want more of the images, you can look on the website. I have them out there. But this is one example of Shomer Lichtner. And it's another one where I don't have the final commission amount. What did he get paid for 5 murals? We know what the other artist got paid, but we don't know what he got paid for 5 total murals. So if I uncover that, hopefully I can update my documentation. But as of today, I don't have any record of what he was paid for 5 total murals in Sheboygan. But it's the best bang for your buck if you're going to travel and drive to go see artwork. Okay, so at the beginning of the presentation, we talked about the stamps, the Piggott, Arkansas airmail service. Here is Wisconsin's version of that. So this was Edmund Lewandowski, and this is his version of airmail service. And this is a 14-foot by 4-foot mural. And I love the airplane. I love the props. I love this style airplane. You're loading mail to the plane. Really great, and I was really excited when I first saw this one. I was just like, wow, this is a cool mural, and the plane just is just overpowering. It takes the center stage on this particular mural, so it's really great. And seeing as how the Postal Service is memorializing the Piggott, Arkansas mural, hopefully at some point they'll recognize the Stoughton one and hopefully make a stamp for the Stoughton particular mural, which is a really great mural. So yeah, so Lewandowski was paid a $760 commission for this particular mural, and it was installed May 1939. So a great example of an airmail service mural. Sturgeon Bay, Santos Zingle, the fruits of Sturgeon Bay, another popular fish theme here for Wisconsin. And this is a large mural too, and he was paid $1,000 for this particular commission. Um, and this is a tempera canvas, and you'll notice there's this radio on the right-hand side. So these are some of the fun things you find when you're driving around taking pictures of post office. I would love to have walked into this building and just take a picture of the mural, but lo and behold, there's this radio on the right-hand corner. And so what do you do with this? I want to publish a book. I want to see just the mural. This is why I cut out the top of the postmaster's door, because I just want to memorialize and see the mural, the artwork. And now you have this radio installed here. Um, so I never asked the postmaster if I could take it down just to get a picture of the mural, but lo and behold, it is there. This is early on when I was taking photographs, so I was a little bit more shy, I guess, in approaching postmasters and employees and taking pictures and photographing. And I was also trying to get all the content for the book. So there was a little bit of a time issue well, and how long would it have taken me to ask the postmaster to take it down? Would I have to come back at a different day to do that? I didn't know. But for future reference, if they ever remove this radio and I can go back and take another picture of it without that being in there, I'd love to do that. So Santos Zingle, $1,000 commission for the Sturgeon Bay mural. So here's Forest Flower again. It's for Viroqua War Party. Now this is a little bit more of on the ominous side, and I hope nobody gets offended by this one. And I hope that this one doesn't get covered up, but it is still in its original location. And as of today, I don't believe that it is covered up. It's very large. It's 14 feet by 12 feet. It goes on both sides of the door, the postmaster's door. It is a rather dark, ominous looking mural, but I love it. So, and this is Forest Flower. And so this is he received a $900 commission for this one. Also, the one who did Rice Lake was so it's another example of his work. Moving right along. How are we doing on time? We're about 45. Okay. So Wapaka, $800 commission. This is Raymond Reddle, Wisconsin countryside. When people think of Wisconsin, or at least when I think of Wisconsin, you look at this rural scene. It's very, very relaxing. It's very peaceful to me when I see this one. You have the car, the old car driving around, not a lot of traffic. You have this great red barn, a White House, silos. You have these fields, the sky, the clouds, everything in one particular picture. So this is really, really a great mural. I really love this one. It's also one of the ones I thought about using for the cover of the book, but there was just so much in this particular image that I decided not to use it for the cover. But it is another one of my favorite ones. Very beautiful. All the different elements of it, I think, just make it look great. The fact that it doesn't have the postmaster's door cut out, that it's one panel, is really great. And that's what I like about this one. And he received $800 commission, Raymond Reddle, Wisconsin countryside. Wausau. Let's go ahead and take a few minutes here and dive deeper into this one. Lumbering and Rural Mail by Garrett Sinclair. Now you'll notice this is two titles here, Lumbering, and the second one is Rural Mail. Now there's two murals that were commissioned for Wausau. And Mr. Sinclair received $1,600 for the two murals. Now, when I visited Wausau, it's a federal building. When I visited, it had been sold and it's now private apartments. So it's no longer a federal building, private apartments. It's locked. You have to have a key to get in. You have to be a resident to get into them, and you cannot see the murals. How did I get this one? I waited around for one of the residents to show up and asked if I could go see the mural. I explained who I was and if I could get in there and see the mural. I had my book with me, I had my information with me, and I wanted to get in and see the mural. He let me in there. We had a great conversation, and I was able to observe this mural. It is in the lobby. It's right at the base of the staircase in the original lobby of the federal building in Wausau. And this one is titled Lumbering. Now, there's a second mural called Rural Mail that is missing, lost, or presumed destroyed. And we don't know much about it. I have not been able to find as much information in the National Archives about it, but we do know that he received a commission for it because he received $1,600. And we also know because was a newspaper all about it, the Wausau Daily. I don't have the date on this, but this clipping was in the National Archives files. And this is the actual mural. This is the artist touching up the mural, Rural Mail. So we know that it was done. We know that it existed, but we don't know the fate of it. When I visited Wausau, I contacted the leasing office um, for the apartments. They didn't have any knowledge of it. I contacted the local public library, which is right across the street if you've been to Wausau. They didn't have any information about it. And I asked around the local restaurants when I ate there. Nobody else knew about the mural in the Wausau post office. So if anybody has any information out there about the Wausau mural, this is another reason for me publishing the Wisconsin mural book. Is I hope to hopefully this will show up. People will recognize this and and that eventually this mural may show up. Maybe it's in the basement of somebody, the old postmaster or somebody's family who took it home or whatever, and it'll be recovered. Maybe it'll show up on Antiques Roadshow. I don't know, but there is two murals that were installed in Wausau. I hope to see them one day. I hope it is a success story, but it is out there, and or we do know that it did exist at one time, and if we can find it, that would be great. So that's Wausau, and he received $1,600 commission for that one, and this is called Rural Mail. Alrighty, West Bend. So for the final mural in Wisconsin that we're going to look at is West Bend, and this is Peter Rotier, Rural Mail Carrier. This is 12 foot by 4, and he received a $640 commission for this particular mural. This was a 12 foot by 4 foot mural. Sorry, I was just looking at my notes here. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And so this is the West Bend mural. And this would be the last mural that I have to share for you for Wisconsin.